Hi guys. Yeah, we're back again for the part two of our video. So those of you that just joined, we've been trying to convert a couple of architectural layouts into a structural layout. So on the previous video, we completed the ground floor layout. So we are duplicating it now. So now we are taking off the cantilevers on the ground floor layout. They shouldn't be here in the first place, but we just put them here as a guide for us to know where to have them on the first floor, since we're using the ground floor layout to generate our first floor general layout GA. So I'm removing that void sign. It's not on the ground floor layout. So like I said before now, the external line, I'm making them look magenta. So once you see a magenta line, you know that's the magenta, and it's also a magenta continuous line. You know that's the boundary or the end of the external perimeter of the building here, or there's no continuous slab or something around there. So I'm breaking the lines now. Since that line, part of it is within the building and part of it is external, so I'm breaking them now so that they can easily be identified. So I'm checking to see the width of that panel. Mm. So, and I'm noticing it's quite a long span. So I'm looking for where to introduce a beam that won't really affect the aesthetics of um, that sitting room area. So I've thought of having a beam there, but anyway, the beam is gonna be underneath gonna be buried in the foundation. So since it's on the ground floor, it doesn't really matter. Except if that beam is gonna, if it's on the first floor, it might be an issue. Or it also depends on the part of the first floor where that beam is too. So let's just keep going. Let me quickly fix this. So now, if you can see, the cantilevers are quite lengthy. Some are 1 meter, some are more than 2 meters. So for this kind of cantilevers, what we can do is extend our beams to go support the cantilever. So that's what I'm doing right now. Now I'm on the first floor layout. So I'm extending the beams now to go support the slab. So right now it's as if the beam is resting, sorry, the slab is resting on the beam. So that also gives that structural more strength. But for aesthetic, um, so now we have to put like a beam to cover those beams that are being extended. Yeah, I forgot what that beam is being called. I can't remember. If I remember, I will let you guys know. Tie beam, yeah, tie beam. So now we're producing a tie beam. Later I'll come back to the tie beam. Let us continue with this now. So I'm still extending the beams now. Some people call it cantilever beam. Most people call it cantilever beam anyway. So now I'm introducing the tie beams. So basically the tie beam, it's not like it's carrying much load. It's just there to cover the other beams coming out to give it this aesthetic feel. So once you are in front of the building, you won't have the beams won't be pointing at your face. So the tie beam is just there to cover those beams that are shooting out and make the building have a more pleasant view. So what I'm doing now is I'm moving the cantilevering the columns. So some of the columns are going to cantilever. But at the same time, I'm also looking at the first floor stylishly to be sure that these columns I'm cantilevering won't fall in the wrong place on the first floor. So that column is now going to be cantilevered to the front. So once we're done with this, we'll also superimpose it to be sure that these columns doesn't fall anywhere outside our architectural layout. Everything falls within the walls provided by the architect. So I'm deleting the hatch, that's the solid hatch. So why am I doing that? Is showing that this column doesn't go all the way to the first floor, that this column terminates underneath underneath the ground floor, underneath the first floor beam. The column supporting the first floor beam, but it doesn't go all the way up. Most people delete the whole column, but it's better you leave it there. Moving the arch shows them that this column is not going up. It's just under the slab or under the beam here. So now I'm copying all the columns. So the ones that are being terminated under the beam, I won't consider them as part of my first floor columns because to me they are under the beam. They are not visible on the first floor level. So now I'm selecting them. Before I proceed any further, it's best I'm sure that these columns are all well positioned so I don't go back and forth. So let me quickly check that. Copy. And I look for a very good point that is also on this. Oh, I think I've picked the wrong point. So I think this still look for somewhere. Let me just quickly do that again. I think I made a mistake. So I have to quickly pick everything again. The columns again. So now let me look for a good point to pick. Same point that I can find there, and I can also find that point on the architectural. So I've selected that point. So now let's go on a tour. Let's see. All these ones are looking good, but this column on this line is not. I have to move that column. We have to terminate this column since it's coming out in the family lounge. Mm. This other one on the terrace by the private lounge. I have to move that column too. So I have to go back to my. So this was the one coming out in the family lounge. And we have to terminate it. Just remove the arch, solid arch, yeah. So it means this column is not going up, it's just under that slab. So there are some columns that are not aligning, they're not flushing with that wall, about 3 of them. So I have to do something about that. I have to introduce a new grid line now. So I'm trying to locate where this new wall is and move my columns to that point. So I think I made a mistake. I should just select the wall and move it here instead. So let me just quickly do that. Well, I think we're still on track anyway. Yeah, that's the one. So the middle now, that's the center line, the grid line. I'm deleting the architectural walls, leaving just grid line. So those are the columns in question. So I'm moving them up to beyond that grid line. So I'm terminating them. Yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. It will really go a long way. As you can see, a lot of work has been put into these videos. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section. I will reply to them as soon as possible. I'll also leave the architectural files in the description above, in the description, in this video description, so you can download the architectural file and also practice while you watch the video. So now moving just those two to see if they. So now the columns are now within the walls. But this other third one, I have to do something about it. It's not flushing with the wall. I have to also move it up, then terminate it. Yeah, that third one, third column. So I just introduce a beam now across that voided area. Remember I said the magenta line, I use it mostly for my exterior part of my building, or anywhere we have this continuous slab. So like now I'm going to use, remember I said we use the ground floor architectural plan to generate the first floor structural layout. So now I want to introduce the roof beams. So to introduce the roof beams, I'll have to use the first floor architectural to introduce the roof beams. Basically, the first floor beams, they all have to flush with the ground floor walls. So that's why we're using the ground floor. We use the ground floor architectural. Let me repeat that. The first floor beams has to flush with the ground floor architectural walls. So that's why we use the ground floor architectural walls to generate our first floor beam column layout. So now I want to generate my roof beam layout. So how we have to use my first floor because my beams for the roof has to flush with my first floor block walls. So now I move the first architectural plan closer to my new layout. I duplicated the um, first floor structural. So now I will have to fine tune this the first floor plan to look like this to look like the first floor architectural. So there's this column I have to also move. So let me just quickly move that column. The column shouldn't be because that column is showing me that column is on the corridor. That's like a balcony or something. So that's the column I have to move it. Should have picked it aside, yeah. Better. So the column is going to be a point load now on that beam. That was a mirror. How to mirror it, then move. We can call this one 1A. Since we don't can since I don't know, I don't buy the idea of people calling it one prime prime prime. So it's better I call it 1A. If there's anyone again after that, I call it 1B, 1C. Since I've exhausted the prime, calling it prime. So that should be one prime, the other one 1A, one I mean. So that was the column I moved to the other end, so it flushes with that block wall. So since I just made that correction, I have to delete that and copy this modified first floor layout. So now, since the terminated columns, we are not going to see them. Since they are terminated, we have no business with them on this roof level. So I'm moving them now. So, so now, if you look at the first floor plan, let me make this align so it will be more easier to understand, and also bring it closer to, yeah. This is the first floor plan. Like I said, it's the first floor plan to get our general arrangement. So if you look at that block wall, a beam has to align with it. So that's the beam up there. So I'm taking this beam off. If I leave that beam, it's going to run across the bedroom. I mean lounge. Yeah. So I'm looking at the first floor plan and also using it to get my GA. So I'm deleting anything I see that is going to be obstruct or deface my floor plan. So now I have to move that beam up there because ideally that's where the beam is up there. Yeah, that's where the beam is. I might have to move this beam to up. Yeah, I've already moved them up on the. So I have to, but I forgot to move this one up. I will go back to quickly move this one up. And I'll also go to the first floor to correct that. First floor layout to correct that. So it's duplicate, then delete hash, and delete the hash. Better now. I don't think I have to also move this one. Delete that. So this beam, also delete that. Yeah. This one I moved it up already. Column. So I'm scanning to the drawings to know the beams I need to remove. This beam, if I leave this beam, it's gonna bust out. It's gonna show at the center of my. I have to delete that beam. I introduce a new beam. Oh, let me see. I think I'll just extend this beam up there. Because if you look at the beam, if you trace that beam up, it flushes with the wall right in front of it. These ones are okay. Yeah. Then this one, I have to delete these cantilever beams because they're gonna come out in that bedroom under the bed. Okay. Now I have to move that column. So one of the things that do happen when you're preparing this layout is once you are, the more you are on it, the more you see things you didn't see before now, just like this ones. Yeah. So I've added the way there've been some new grid lines on that first floor layout, so I'm deleting these ones and I'm going to copy the new grid lines that I introduced from the roof beam layout. I want to copy them to the other layout. But first, let me finalize this one, and then before I move those grid lines to the other layouts. This beam, I have to remove it because it's gonna be in that, it's gonna bust out showing the area. And this one too, I might have to trim this because that's a gym. Beam is gonna be somewhere right in front of, not really at the center. So I have to look for a good place to trim that beam. Yeah, this beam has to go because it's gonna bust. It's gonna show in the what do you call it? Family lounge. Mm, likewise, just have to trim this one here. That span is too long. I have to look for a way to reach a new beam there. Um, for the time being, let me. This other beam is also it's gonna show in the lounge, so I have to trim it off. So if you look at the planner on the lounge area, it's looking good. Yeah, I think this one is pointless. I have to just take it off. Yeah, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. It will really, really help us. Thank you so much. The roof, we don't need the staircase there. The roof layout, so we're taking them off. Now I've introduced this beam. Just copy this. And that's a good point to pick. Then put it there. I'm choosing this beam here just to, because I noticed that area, that span is looking too big. Just to reduce the load there and though some of these beams are going to be hidden under the roof. I mean the ceiling. But nonetheless, we should also take note. I'll try avoiding having these beams in critical areas. So that's a new grid line. This grid line wasn't intro was it's not was introduced on the ground floor layout. So that's why I had to delete everything on the other layout. So this one's like the updated grid line. So I have to copy this, and so that's grid line D. Because it's slightly below grid line D, so we'll call it D prime. And since there's no D prime on that drawing, so we're good to go. Now I think our layout is looking okay. No beams running out where they shouldn't run. Yeah, I think I have to close this beam since our roof is covering the whole area. So since our this is a roof beam and it's not slabbed, so everything will be treated like a discontinuous. Remember I said magenta color, I use it. So your project might use any color you want depending on your company and or your personal preference. But personally I use magenta color for whenever I have a discontinuous slab or there are no slabs in the opposite direction, I use that color to let whoever is ready the drawing know that there's no slab or it's a discontinuous beam or something. So since it's void, since it's a roof, so I assume everything is there is voided. So I'm making everything magenta. So later I'll still go back to my property the grid, but I think it's faster when I make everything magenta than just go back picking just the grid lines. Just follow me as I do that, please. Thank you. So now match property just the grid lines. So it's faster now, it saves time. So that's our roof beam layout. If you really enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, share to your friends too. So now I'm copying all the grid lines to the other layouts. So I have to look for a reference point that I know that this point is on all the layout, which is the staircase one. So I pick that point, I off the auto, I start them. So now we're having an updated grid lines. So I'm trying to let me delete all the unnecessary layouts. Don't need this anymore. So now we have the ground, first floor, and roof beams. On the ground floor layout, I don't need the staircase to show there. I'm assuming this is a raft foundation. I'll call this my ground floor slab layout. So I could call this my first floor slab layout. Then this is gonna be my roof beams layout. Roof beams layout. This is slab there. We can call it roof beams slash slab layout. So that is that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and like buttons. It really go a long way in, in motivating us to do more videos like this. So we are all done. Everything is looking good. So in our next videos, I'll be importing this to I will be using a structural design software to run an analysis on this. Thank you for watching.